look at Bajaj as such, that defined what two-wheelers were.
Hamara Bajaj was iconic. There's no doubt about it. We've all grown up with it. But yes, the residual memory was still from the scooter era.
People were waiting for Bajaj to come up with a delightful motorcycle.
And in comes Pulsar and says, no, you know what? We're going to democratize performance biking. We're going to give it to you guys. And that's the reason everybody just loves it. Hence the word Mania.
MD was very clear in his mind. If they were black, we had to be white. If they were small, we had to be big. If they were fuel efficient, we had to be the fastest and most powerful. It looked like a lion and it performed like a lion. The moment he saw it, he said, this has got the character, this has got that kind of energy. He was really game about it. He said that, okay, let's do it. Let's just do it.
We had been a scooter manufacturing company. And whatever motorcycles that we were making in the way the scooters were being made. But the team was very enthusiastic about it, full of enthusiasm and energy, no experience. So we decided, yes, we will do it.
I remember the first time when we built the engine, that combination was like a bomb. Everything was designed from a perspective of trying to give this kind of raked feeling, like a wrestler out there, ready to go and, grapple with someone and twist him up, There was this feeling that, okay, maybe this is going to do a few thousand volume in a month.
We get a sales plan for marketing and they wanted 100,000 Pulsars in that month. I mean, we had never done 100,000 vehicles. We were greatly short of resources, including in the supply chain, inside the plant, everything, including the manpower to assemble the vehicle. Glad to say again they delivered. Rajiv asked me, how did you achieve? So I told this is how the people in Chakan worked. First shift used to begin at 8:30 in the morning and the second shift used to begin at 8:30 at night and end at 5:30 in the morning. So they were mirror shifts with a gap of 3 hours between each shift. So amongst them, they decided that the first shift will work from 8:30 to 8:30 and the second shift will work from 8:30 at night to 8:30 in the morning. So he was so touched and moved by their, the commitment and dedication. He said that take the entire team of Chakan for a 3-day, jaunt to Goa.
It was so standout in terms of what it was doing as form and function. I think it just has been a story after that.
19th was a boom of people looking forward to advertising.
And in comes the Pulsar. It was like raw, masculine, powerful. We just needed a platform idea which captured these.
Scooter चलता है, मगर मोटरसाइकिल चलती है. तो we said नहीं, हमारी मोटरसाइकिल चलेगी नहीं, हमारी मोटरसाइकिल चलेगा. So it's definitely male.
When we presented it, we're all there, and in comes Rajiv. I think he was also excited as well as nervous. Without much chatter, he saw the film. He said, ये क्या बना दिया है?
क्या बनाया था वो तो दिखा दिया था. आगे कुछ बोलने की जरूरत थी नहीं.
See, nobody in India had seen work like this before. I think it was genre defining definitely for India.
एक ताजा हवा चली और जो फैल रही.
You see, Bajaj in global arena was an unknown name. We took the Pulsar Mania playbook from India and put it in Colombia. For them, power meant the freedom to perform stunts. 50 countries, out of which about 20 countries, we are clear number one.
Pulsar is not just a single product. It's been a journey and it's never been static. Once you make something that's as iconic as a Pulsar, you need to ensure that there is this kind of a continuity. Now, when you create a new Pulsar, it has to be having an evolutionary behavior to it.
There is no the magic where the creative people are looking for, inspiration that comes from the nature or animal, but it comes from the technology. The first time I experienced travel in India, I realized how different the environment was. I questioned to myself why this kind of motorcycle are present in the street, in the market. And I believe speed or the way we move fast is a step ahead in our, human condition or everyday life. That's why Pulsar or design motorcycle echo this desire of moving faster.
What an exhaust note. It takes your breath away.
You sit in the bike rather than sit on the bike. You really feel you're a part of the bike.
It's something very casual somehow. It is sportier but casual.
See, this kind of excitement, curiosity, inquisitiveness is understandable because after all, it's a Pulsar.
And what we really created now is what a Pulsar should always have been.
Mania, 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 mania. अकेला तू नहीं दुनिया अकेले इस पे किसी से हौसले कम ना जिसके अकेला तू नहीं दुनिया अकेले इस पे किसी से हौसले कम ना जिसके अकेला तू नहीं दुनिया अकेले इस पे दुनिया अकेले इस पे दुनिया अकेले इस पे दुनिया अकेले इस पे अकेला तू नहीं दुनिया अकेले इस पे किसी से हौसले कम ना जिसके अकेला तू नहीं दुनिया अकेले इस पे किसी से हौसले कम ना जिसके अकेला तू नहीं दुनिया अकेले इस पे दुनिया अकेले इस पे दुनिया अकेले इस पे दुनिया अकेले इस पे मेरिया 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 ये mania तेरे का वो mania तेरे का ये mania तेरे का वो mania तेरे का
Wow, that was pretty awesome. I'm seeing it for the first time too. It was wonderful to see all the OG Pulsars, the entire range. I'd like to now invite Mr. Rajiv Bajaj, our Managing Director, to come and share his thoughts on the Pulsar journey.
Good afternoon, everyone. And very warm welcome to Utsa. We call this place Utsa. This is our brand new wellness center for all of us. From the chairman to the watchman, everybody can use this. The sports hall in which we are sitting is a place where we can do various sports, indoor soccer, basketball, table tennis, etc. We have a gym that some of you may have seen that our director Abhinav Bindra says is no less than any gym in any Olympic village. And then we have facilities for yoga, we have a library, we have music, dance, etc. And the reason we called it Utsa because a great doctor once told me that a man is healthy who wakes up with a sense of enthusiasm, with a sense of utsa. And this is an important sentiment today because where we are gathered today is actually ground zero of Bajaj Auto. Ground zero because where we are sitting and this complex that you have walked through this morning is what all of Bajaj Auto was when it started about 60 years ago. The office you have probably seen on the right where the people, the management of that time used to sit. And this is where scooters and three-wheelers were put together, were assembled, were painted, and they were shipped out from here. So all of Bajaj Auto fit into this little space that's around us. From there, it's been quite a journey, as we say. And today becomes a very, very special day for us because it comes exactly 20 years after 28th of October 2001 when we launched Pulsar for the first time. So some of us old fogies like Adil and we've been around, but maybe for some of you this is the first time to come to a Pulsar launch. I asked myself what I would like to say on this occasion. Because the Pulsar is so well known. When did it start? How did it evolve? How many have we sold? Where all it has sold? That it would be boring to share with you what you already know. So the only thing I have to offer are some of my own memories based on my sort of experiences with Pulsar over the last 20 years. And perhaps you may be surprised when I say, on a special day like this, that they are not exactly entirely sweet memories. They are kind of bittersweet memories. You know, I'm reminded of what Osho said. He said, the rose is not only the flower, it is also the thorn. You don't get a rose without the thorn, right? So you don't create a brand like a Pulsar just by doing everything right. You also make mistakes along the way that hopefully make you stronger. And I think those are as important to mention than as much as all the things that we did right. So my first bittersweet memory of the Pulsar goes back to 1997, when Joe and I started the discussion on what should be the next motorcycle, not just for Bajaj, but for this market. It was a bitter time because decisively by 1997, the market in India had shifted from scooters to motorcycles, more specifically to 100cc motorcycles, and within which Bajaj Auto, although had been such a dominant player with 70% of the market when the market was scooters, up until 1997, we were number 4 in a field of 4 motorcycle players. So somehow leadership does not travel easily from one segment to the other, as we have learned over time. We needed to do something about it, because eventually, as it turned out, by financial year 1999, Bajaj Auto made its first loss ever in the two-wheeler segment. Not as a company, because fortunately our three-wheelers held us up, but that was the first time, and thank God the last time, that as a two-wheeler portfolio, we lost money. Now, a situation like this is very romantic. It's very romantic for professors in business schools. It's very romantic for consultants. Maybe it's very romantic for you guys to write about. But it is anything but romantic to be inside it. People talk about how still waters do not make a great sailor. People talk about how not to waste a crisis. People talk about rising from the ashes like a phoenix. But the person who is in it is a nightmare for that person. And speaking of nights, there were a few nights at Bajaj Auto that time. First, Joe that you saw, Joe, our CTO, unfortunately he couldn't be here today. He's in Europe, but I think he's watching. So Joe and team that worked together to give us a product called Pulsar. Pradeep, you heard him, our executive director who heads all operations. So Pradeep and team for the Pulsar gave us a new plant, a new work culture as he described it, called Chakhan. And then there was R.L. Ravichandran, perhaps the finest marketing person in India, at least in the auto industry that I have known. Of course, he is now retired. And then the king, god, Badshah, call him what you may, of advertising, Piyush sir, Kinu, my friend at O&M, and team O&M, that gave us definitely mail. So this is how it all came together on the back of a very, very difficult time. And it is through this Pulsar that over the years, we have learned everything we know. At least I have. All the technology that I understand, I learned from Pulsar. All the engineering I have come to understand, I have understood through Pulsar. How to build brands and how not to build brands, I have understood through Pulsar. And thanks to Rakesh and team, how does one build a global presence and global distribution? We have learned first and foremost on the back of Pulsar. Pulsar has not just taught us all of this. Pulsar has moved India from being just a pure commuter bike market to a sports bike market. A company that could not do better than last place in commuter bikes became the leader of the sport bike market. A company that in 30, 40 years of existence had not been able to export practically at all. Pulsar showed it, the way to achieve exports which are now 50% of its sales. And it is on the back of Pulsar that we believe we made the transition from Hamara Bajaj to becoming the world's favorite Indian across over 70 countries. In fact, speaking of 1997, my mind goes back to a trip that I made with one of my father's senior-most colleagues and somebody I regard as a guru, management guru, Mr. R.A. Jain, and Ravi, and myself, and maybe one or two other people, to Kawasaki, which to us was the mecca of motorcycle that time. And in the midst of a discussion, I said to them that, we're having a very difficult time with the 100cc motorcycle. We've tried the KB100 two-stroke, the 4S four-stroke. We've done everything we can in terms of marketing, distribution, but we are not able to make any headway. So we think we should do something different, as Joe described. And I still remember the Japanese sitting in front of me, like you guys are right now, because in Japan, typically, for every one visitor, there are 10 Japanese sitting in front. So they overwhelm you with numbers, first of all. And then they are all as poker-faced and emotionless as all of you are right now. And I was saying to them that we want to make a 180cc motorcycle, we want to make the biggest motorcycle in India, the fastest motorcycle in India, so on and so forth. And they heard us very patiently. And we said to them, we can do this together, join us in this effort, help us to do it right. As Pradeep said, we have all the enthusiasm, all the utsaha, but we have no experience. We don't want to make big mistakes. And they heard us patiently and they said, no. They said India is a 100cc market. Quality is important. If we make a better motorcycle, we will win. And I think that was the starting point of my understanding that a better motorcycle and a different motorcycle are two very different motorcycles. And that business should be not about a better motorcycle. Of course, one must always strive to make a better motorcycle, but business should be led by doing different things. And that is why, as Mark Twain said, don't ever let your schooling interfere with your education. After that day, we told ourselves, we will never let our business interfere with our entrepreneurship. We must think like entrepreneurs that have to set the next goal, the next benchmark, the next level. And that is what keeps us alive. That's what gives us that enthusiasm, that utsaha to come to work every day. So that was 1997. 10 years later, a second bittersweet moment, 2007. It was sweet because that's when we encountered KTM for the first time. Again, Ravi, myself, Mr. Jain, some others perhaps, we went to Austria. Well, to Switzerland first, actually. Geneva, if I remember right. And met with the folks at KTM. Because on the one hand, we knew that we would not be happy unless we had a play in the premium space. But somewhere we had the humility to know that our brand would not carry easily into that space. So we were extremely keen to partner with KTM. KTM at that time was Europe's second largest motorcycle maker, if I remember right, making about 65,000 motorcycles a year. So a very small number for people who think in volume terms. And I think looking back at 2007, the main reason why KTM agreed to partner with us, that cause is Pulsar. Pulsar was the cause. Pulsar was the motivation for them. Pulsar gave them the confidence. And that's why Pulsar is so intrinsic to our relationship with KTM. What is the bitter moment then? The bitter moment is this, that Pulsar was the cause, but Pulsar was also the casualty, in a sense, of the Bajaj KTM relationship. Because very soon after 2007, both our R&D started working on a completely new range of KTM and Husqvarna motorcycles. At first KTM, later on Husqvarna. The first of which I think we launched in India in 2011, 11-12 sometime. And ever since, we were so preoccupied with the KTM and Husqvarna product portfolio that somewhere, I think we took our eyes off the Pulsar. And so quite frankly, I'll save you the trouble of asking me this in the Q&A. I think we are 3 years too late with the Pulsar, with the new Pulsar that we will see today. So that's the second memory that I carry about the Pulsar. The third memory, again, 10 years later, comes to 2017, when we finally said to ourselves, it's about time we did something about the Pulsar. Because clearly in the marketplace, not just in India, but around the world, we could see that it's looking a little faded, a little jaded. Of course, like some of our competitors here, we also do a lot of color and lipstick job on our motorcycles every year, but that's not the same as making a new motorcycle. So we leave that to them. We'd like to believe that Pulsar Maniacs expect more from us. So we knew we had to make a special effort. And it's taken us time because if you look back, there's some really successful two-wheeler brands in this country, right? There's Splendor, there's Activa, there's the Classic or the Bullet, call it what you may, Pulsar. And what we see without exception is that manufacturers are very happy to redo, reinvent and relaunch failed products and failed brands. Because they've already failed, you have nothing to lose now. So you try again. But once something succeeds, you don't want to touch it. You add some plastic bits, you change headlamps and tail lamps, you bring in new colors and graphics. But fundamentally, if it's not broken, you don't try to fix it. And this is what my marketing guru, Jack Trout, told me leads to not just commoditization, but creeping commoditization. The commoditization creeps upon you year after year, and when you look back after 10 years, you realize that you've lost the plot. So we were keen not to do an incremental job with the Pulsar, or as Joe said, not to even do an evolutionary job, but to do something revolutionary. But we were all too aware that there were two significant problems with this. The first was that if we were to go out and say to people, as we are venturing to say to all of you today, that we have an all-new Pulsar, i.e. the brand is completely new again, how do you make an all-new brand for the same customer? Because unfortunately in this country, in my experience, I may be wrong, there's too many salespeople and not enough marketing people. And the sales guys will come back and the dealers will come back and tell you, don't change this. This doesn't look like what people are buying today, what they're comfortable with, what the mechanic is familiar with. So don't change it. So how do you go out and say to someone, you know, this is completely new, but it's the same? I think that is at least one skill or one art that so far we had not really demonstrated. I don't think others in this market have either. And the second, quite simply, is how do we offer, just as we have to offer much more brand for the same customer, how do we offer much more product for the same cost? I mean, nobody is going to pay us 30% more for this Pulsar just because it's all new and we believe a great new style and design and performance and cubic capacity and what have you. This is another thing that in engineering terms, I think Indian auto engineering companies have not really mastered. That if you go and shake up the bill of materials, change all the tooling, redo the lines, how do you still preserve the cost structure at the end of it? The consumer may not care, it's none of his business, but obviously for the OEM, this is a big deal. So these were really the two challenges in front of us. More brand for the same consumer, more product for the same cost or for the same money. But I'm very pleased to say that after 4 years or almost 5 years of effort from across the organization, I think we've kind of nailed it. So much input from the business unit, both the domestic and the export businesses. So much work and rework at the R&D. Some great work from engineering, purchase, production, all through, right to HR, finance, everyone. Because, as they say in Africa, it takes a whole village to raise a child. And today, I have to specially make mention of our suppliers. About 200 odd suppliers who have worked under very difficult circumstances, as you can imagine, the last couple of years especially. And this is important to mention because OEMs don't do much of their manufacturing themselves nowadays. You know, we do a little bit of welding, painting, assembly inside, some testing, etc. But 80–90% of the job gets done by our suppliers. And when we have quality problems, we blame the suppliers. So I think when the product comes together nicely, equally, we must give credit to the suppliers. So I want to thank all our suppliers today for putting together this fabulous motorcycle. So what is the bitter part of this story? The bitter part is simply this, that, you know, when people often ask me, what's your favorite motorcycle in the last 30 years? And obviously I say, it's the Pulsar. It's the motorcycle that changed the company. But Pulsar is not just the Pulsar. As I said earlier, everything we know, we learned through the Pulsar. So you may see it as KTM, you may see it as Husqvarna, you may see it as Dominar or Avenger. Tomorrow you may see it as Triumph or Gas, or you may see it as Platina or CT. But to me, it's all Pulsar. Pulsar is the root from which we have all these fruits. And so it's not to me the most important product or the most favorite product. It is in a way the only product. Everything else is just a different form born out of the same skills and the same cost structure that the Pulsar taught us over 30 years. So that's what I'd like to say in the end, that I think Pulsar is not just a motorcycle, another motorcycle on the roads. Pulsar for us is the university of life that we went to. Pulsar made this company world class, took us global, and in that sense, it's been our greatest teacher over the last 20 years, exactly 20 years today. So how does one feel when one is launching the all-new Pulsar? This is not a motorcycle that you're going to look at and say, as you did a couple of months ago, they say it's all new, but it looks exactly the same. No, that's not going to happen when you see it a few minutes from now. So I think it's a bit like saying goodbye to an old friend. The Pulsars that you saw here, that engine, that frame, those fuel tanks, that face of the motorcycle, we will never see again. But we must, we must continue with the circle of life. We must continue with the circle of Pulsar. And we must say goodbye to the old friend. And we must bring in the new one in a most dramatic fashion. And to do that, this chap Narayan has kind of put some app onto my phone that I'm not very good with. So I'm supposed to press something on this, and the Pulsar will emerge from somewhere. And even I do not know whether it's coming off the turntables, from behind me, from behind you. I don't know. So be careful wherever it is you're sitting. And I'm going to press the button now. You can see the cameras are up, but the Pulsar is not up. Okay, let me try again. Narayan, you screwed up. Let's get the Pulsar out, Narayan.
May I now request Mr. Rajiv Bajaj, Mr. Rakesh Sharma, and Mr. Pradeep Srivastav to just proceed towards the bike for our photo op. Just watch the turntable, please. Yeah.
We request our media friends to avoid overcrowding. Please approach the ramp carefully. We will have enough time to take photographs.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know the bikes are out, so I think Sarang and I are a lot less attractive than the bikes. And we are following Mr. Bajaj, who's said a fairly emotional and quite a stirring tale about the Pulsars. Sarang and I will be talking a few more facts about what these bikes are about. So good afternoon. My name is Narayan.
And I'm Sarang. And delighted to have all of you with us today here and the millions of Pulsar Maniacs who have joined us virtually. We are here together to share a moment of an incredible journey in the Pulsar's legacy and the moment that has led us to this discussion.
So at Bajaj Auto, and especially with the Pulsar, we've been at the forefront of introducing new technologies and features for the first time so that all our Pulsar Maniacs or all our riders are able to get more thrill per minute. So some of these category firsts, like the digital twin spark technology. This technology not only helps in saving fuel, but it also gives you enhanced performance. We were the first to introduce the exhaust tech, which basically scavenges and makes sure that the performance is enhanced even more. We were the first to introduce nitrox suspension. This is something that our Pulsar Maniacs enjoyed and also demanded of their bikes as they pushed them to the maximum. There are very many more of such category firsts that we brought to the motorcycle industry. Some of them, like we were the first to bring the projector headlamp, self-canceling indicators, pilot lamps, and the list is longer and longer.
These firsts have led to a movement that has transcended the Indian shores, traveled to more than 50 countries, with Pulsar being number 1 or number 2 in more than 20 countries. The global mania grows stronger with every year. And if we look back on the Pulsar journey, then we have added a Pulsar Maniac to our fold every minute over the last 20 years. Incredible, isn't it? What started in 2001 notched the first million in 2006, and today we are a proud family of 12 million Pulsar Maniacs. These numbers are a testimony of the incredible impact the Pulsar brand has had on the motorcycling landscape across the globe.
This has made Pulsar the undisputed #1 sports motorcycle. We're here in 2021, and Pulsar is all set to unleash the next wave of mania. In order to cater to the choices and to the whims of our legions of Pulsar Maniacs, the Pulsar portfolio today adds a quarter-liter offering. This stays true to the Pulsar DNA, yet it also pushes and establishes new benchmarks for the sports category. At the heart of the new Pulsar 250 is the single-minded purpose. I'm sorry, I skipped a slide. Can you go back, please? Yeah. At the heart of the new Pulsar 250 is the single-minded purpose of providing unadulterated thrill to the millions of our fans around the world who use their ride as a way of self-expression.
The all-new Pulsar 250s are designed on the principles of sculptural purity. The front cowl embraces the tank in one beautiful, seamless look. The tone-on-tone is all about a dynamic interplay of the two hues that brings out the contours of the bike beautifully. The contrasting hues of the deep copper and the satin silver that you can see here make the heads really stun.
Coming to the specifications, the Pulsar 250 has a new tubular frame chassis. This offers high torsional stiffness and resistance to stress. The quarter-liter new 250 engine is a 4-stroke, oil-cooled, fuel-injected. It offers power on tap with peak output of 24.5 PS and torque of 21.5 Newton meters.
Mated to the powerful engine is a constant mesh 5-speed transmission. The suspension gets telescopic forks in the front, and at the rear, we have an all-new monoshock suspension unit for better handling and a comfortable ride.
The 250s get an all-new LED projector unipod headlamp And the F250 has this flanking reverse boomerang LED DRLs. All put together, this ensures that the rider has a brilliant view of the road and has total control.
We have retained the badge of thrill, the tachometer needle. This is a nod to the golden age of performance motorcycling. Built around this central idea is the newly designed infinity display that has absolutely no bezels, offers a completely seamless look with a range indicator and a gear position indicator.
The 250 comes with assist and slipper clutch. This allows for aggressive downshifting with confidence, along with an effortless clutch pull. In terms of other safety features, the 250 has bigger 300 mm disc brakes in the front, 230 at the back. This, augmented with a single-channel ABS, puts safety and control at the very heart and the center of the riding experience. We have a larger 130 cross-sectional rear tire for better grip, carries more speed going into corners. The front has a 100 cross-section tire, enhancing the grip even more.
We are excited to bring to you the two models, the F250 and the N250, in two attractive colors, the racing red and the techno gray.
So Sarang, two new Pulsar 250s. Pulsar Maniacs will surely be very, very excited, but you know, the million-dollar question. What will a Pulsar Maniac have to shell out, have to pay for these beasts?
Okay, I think this is an absolutely incredible, powerful package. It's a beast out there, and staying true to Pulsar offering the best for its customers in all ways. We have priced this at F250 at 1,40,000 and N250 at 1,38,000 ex-Delhi prices.
That's it. Thank you.
Mania, 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 mania. You never ये Mania